Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, President Tan, for your invitation. So I really appreciate this opportunity to speak at this very important forum. Particularly, I was very happy to see my teacher, Professor Zizi Chen, here today. Hopefully, I will give a presentation that you wouldn't be too disappointed as my teacher. So I very much appreciate Professor George Harris' speech, in particular his notion on the public interest capitalism. I'm afraid as we continue to advance our technology, this topic will become even more important because the latest AI technology is going to push a lot of boundaries, such as what do we mean by a real economy? What do we mean by manufacturing? What does this really mean by digital manufacturing, as I'm going to talk about in my presentation? So I'm a professor at large at HKUST, and I'm also chairman of Xiaobing.ai, a spin-off AI company in China and Japan from Microsoft 2 years ago. So the topic is really about AI beings. AI beings actually are defined as opposed to or in comparison with human beings. It sounds like a foreign word to most of you probably, but they are really not. If you think back, we have created 3 famous Asian AI beings since 2011, more than 10 years ago. Perhaps the most well-known to everyone in the room is Siri by Apple in 2011. I still remember it really caused a lot of excitement along with iPhone 4 launch by Steve Jobs. 3 years later, Amazon created Alexa with their intelligent speaker, and Microsoft created Xiaobing.ai in China and later on in Japan by my team. When we talk about AI beings, we must think about their position in relation to human beings and the physical world. This is why, for the last 8-9 years, we have designed a framework called the Xiaobing framework. In Chinese, we call it Xiaobing. So the AI being actually sits in interaction with the human beings and with the physical world. And we have to figure out how we deploy all the AI beings across different digital platforms or with some physical devices like intelligent speakers. In the past few years, we have created a large number of AI beings. I'm only showing many of them here by the Xiaobing company. By using this framework I just mentioned in the previous slide. So we have created AI employees, AI experts, AI companions, or even AI actors. That's what I kind of hinted to you earlier about the new wave of digital manufacturing. So for example, we actually created for Chinese national team, the Winter Olympics team, this virtual coach called the Guanjun. We created a virtual employee in the finance department for Wanke. We just recently created a digital analyst for Sequoia. And we have our own AI beings on many popular social platforms. So how does it work? So I use a very simple example of the virtual TV broadcaster, TV host on National Business Daily. So we started with a lot of raw data, and we analyze the text, and we come up with the design of the voice. In this particular case, it's actually, we really mimicked 2 TV hosts, one woman and one man. We created 2 virtual AI beings. The one we call the Xiaohei, and the other one called the Xiaobai. So let me just show you a very short video, and this is what you can actually get every day with many video clips from those AI beings if you use National Business Daily.
正极11月11日在投资者互动平台表。
It's a very short clip, but you get the idea. Nothing here is real. It's all virtual. It's all created by AI technology. We get into more details, how we do that and why it's so difficult. So when we talk about AI beings, I'd like to use this MIT Media Lab paper to explain to you the difficulties there. To have an AI being, and you really have to think about the 3 different dimensions. The first one is it has to look realistic. The second one is you should be able to interact with them. The last one, perhaps you would also like to see some kind of embodiment or some kind of physical device that embodied this kind of AI beings there that you can interact with. For this talk, given my time, I'm going to focus exclusively on the realism part. And talking about realism, many of us working in arts and graphics and computer science understand the challenge of uncanny valley. If the appearance is not good enough, and you just cannot accept this kind of technology in the product. Fortunately, over many decades of effort in computer graphics in particular, now we can actually create representative AI beings, use different kind of technologies. Historically, we have been using 3D computer graphics technology. On the right-hand side, there are a number of very well done 3D models on the right-hand side. So like the gene model by my student, Professor Chai, his company XMove. But the 3D graphics pipeline, they have the advantage of easy to control, but it's very hard and it's very costly to create them. What I'm going to focus on is really this kind of new technology called the 2D neural rendering. It just popped up in the last few years. So we're able to create those examples like the top one we did for Zhao Sangju, it's called Zhao Xiaobing, and the other one we did for Tsinghua University is called Hua Zibing. When we put that video online, it actually got more than 100 million views in a couple of weeks. So the challenge we really need to, the thing we really need to think through, as we do this kind of work is how we can massively scale up the content generation for photorealistic AI beings. Perhaps the most difficult one is, how can you even control those results to the point that that is what people really want. I mentioned about the uncanny valley. There are many, many concerns on privacy and ethics as well. Of course, today, as we talk about anything AI, we have to really pay attention to latest breakthroughs of generative AI, especially with the large language models and the representative products coming online with the ChatGPT from OpenAI and the new Bing search engine from my old team in Microsoft. It's very, very exciting. Of course, it's not just about the text and the large diffusion models for images and the videos, like Stable Diffusion and the Midjourney. They are actually now becoming very popular. Many people in Hong Kong actually use them to create their artistic expressions. And the even latest, the one on music, is also getting into mainstream. But what I want to talk about for this talk is really about neural representation learning for computer graphics. In particular, 2 main ideas of injecting inductive bias into neural representation so that we get even better results. And of course, what's supporting the whole thing is this unifying the pre-training of neural representation. Just to give you a taste of what we really do, and I want to bring you back to traditional classic 3D graphics representation using surface and the volumes. They worked great, but it's just very difficult to unify them and using one simple representation for different kind of purposes. This is why in the last 4 or 5 years, neural representation with deep neural nets has become very popular and very powerful. I'm showing you only one example here by my Tsinghua PhD student, Dr. Yu Den, his thesis and also his paper in CVPR. His system is called GRAM. So the idea there is injecting the bias of using manifolds to represent the scene. So the examples you see here is generated from a few pictures. There's no 3D, just a few pictures. You take a few pictures of a cat, and we can reconstruct the amazing quality 3D representation. Now you can, it's not even 3D representation, I take it back, it's neural representation. Now you can render from different views. So to really create virtual AI beings, I list 5 very important challenges here. The first one is really controllable AI being identity creation. Think about the pictures, and of course there are other things. The second one is really controllable video generation. So go from picture to video and with the voice and other things. And the third challenge is, how can we even control those characters? Mostly today is actually the script-based or controlled by another human actor. So being autonomous is very important. Think about the applications in games like NPCs. The fourth one is what people always like to talk about is deepfake. Just deepfake. And with this kind of technology, you have to really think about the positive and the negative side of the impact. Finally, how can we make AI beings more socially situated? It's not just about one AI being interacting with one person. Eventually, we can think about, in a social setting. So given time, I'm just going to very quickly go through the first and the second challenges, and I'm showing you some examples there. The first one is controllable AI being identity synthesis. And of course, you want to make them photorealistic, 3D consistent, and natural. And perhaps more importantly, is diversity. We want to generate digitally manufactured, millions and millions of AI beings, and they look very different, and they behave very different. So I'm going to show you examples, what we have done with the face, and a little bit about the voice and the scene. So this is one system we have created over the last couple of years, and very popular with our customers. Every picture you see here is fake. Just to be clear. Every picture here is controlled by our system. This is actually style. I don't know how to easily translate it into English. It's actually what we call the 邻家女孩风格. So this is something that we have applied to many of our systems, all using generative AI. So why this is so difficult? Diversity. And the controllable, which one, which kind of style you would like to generate. I showed you earlier the work by my student Yu Den, and we applied his technology, GRAM, to faces. Look at on the left-hand side, from one picture, now we can actually generate 3D vividly like this. And the right-hand side, we can actually even have the video. You can see the mouth moving and the expressions and all those things. The technology is becoming more and more powerful, with AI, generative AI, we can do other things like super resolution. The quality is really becoming better and better. And the other thing we have been doing is really on the voice side, and especially on seeing. So we create a system that you can actually control how a virtual AI being can sing. So I'm going to play a short clip, you get the idea.
有没有想过，与你合作的歌手也可以不是人类 ？X Studio 3今天正式启动公测。这个版本为你带来全新的流式渲染歌声合成技术，还有许多新登场的人工智能歌手，他们时刻准备着和你分享音乐创作的快乐。你只要输入词曲，接下来就由人工智能歌手为你演唱。这世界有那么多人，人群里藏着一扇门，我迷蒙的眼睛里长存初见你。
So you get the idea, and so everything here is generated. So imagine many human singers, they'll worry, but that's just something we should do in Hong Kong. Yeah. So the second challenge I want to show you is the video generation is even more difficult. There are two main challenges here, and I quickly present to you. The first one is what we call the disentanglement. The second one is, again, diversity. So let me show you what we really mean by disentanglement here. So you basically have this source ID and someone you actually would like to really present. This is our virtual AI being. This is our ID. And then you have a target, video sequence that here is started with a photo. So we want really combine this ID and with anything non-ID in the target, and the right-hand side is the result. It actually turns out to be a very difficult problem. People have worked on this, for ages. But recently, we have some breakthrough. Many people work on this, of course, and I show some comparison between our technology and some other state-of-the-art technologies below. The third and the fourth row are from other researchers, and the second row is what we actually got. So what people usually do in this business is that you have a human actor and do some expression, and then you have a target that is the AI being. You want to map that into this. You can see the second row, it does look like our source ID on the top left, and yet it actually follows the expression of the human actor on top. So then I'm going to show you a little bit more fun stuff here is actually face reenactment. That basically means you actually do a face video presentation here. So before I play this short video, I want to explain a little bit so you understand what's happening here. On the left-hand side is our ID image. So I'm going to have this person speak Chinese and in different ways. So you see 3 samples here. Each one will actually have a video sequence, and yet the expression, the head pose, the movement, everything is all random. It's coming from something we recently invented called audio to video diffusion prior. So the technicality here is not important. What's important is that every sequence is automatically generates the sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, and they're very different. That shows you the diversity.
当我第一次知道要拍那个洗头水广告的时候，其实我是拒绝的，因为我觉得，你不能叫我拍马上拍，第一我要试一下，不然我又不想说你拍一个广告，拍完以后加了很多特技，那个头发咚啊很黑、很亮、很油。
So you get the idea. We can play this forever. So by addressing many of those challenges, we are now able to create those AI beings. So now we have the product lines, and from easy, cheap ways of creating to some elaborate, expensive ways of creating. So we offer this product line, and we also have shown many of those examples online. For instance, on Douyin and on Bilibili, and last year, the Xiaobing on Douyin actually received 500 million views from the content that we created. But finally, I want to show you something more fun that this AI singer we created called Chen Suiruo. She actually was invited to participate in Guangdong Weishi New Year party, Spring Festival Gala. So let's play this video.
您的红包已到账。
So this is everything AI generated. The video is actually a little bit. So you get this idea. Thank you very much.